Hey everyone, welcome to the next video on our recipe costing. This one we're dealing with the final column of the costing sheets, which is the cost extensions. So we're going to be figuring out how much each ingredient is worth in our in our recipe, and then adding that all up to get our total cost for our recipe. So this is the point where we're concerned with how many units are in the recipe. So for instance, the couscous has 2 cups, and we've calculated our edible portion cost at $1.05 per cup. So if we have 2 cups times $1.05, we're going to end up with $2.10, right? So that's the crux of this next slide here, is how do we calculate our extensions, right? So the extension is the ingredient quantity multiplied times the price per unit that's used in the recipe. So if we look at my sheet here, so we had 2 cups, oops, give me a pen that works, 2 cups, and we have a price per cup now, right? So we're just simply going to multiply these two together to get $2.10. Now notice there's no more unit anymore, because this isn't a price per cup anymore. This is the total price for all the couscous in our recipe for the 2 cups. For the carrots, we have 4 ounces at 0.056 per ounce. That gives us 0.224, right? So this 4 times this one, right? We're always going to take our unit in our recipe and multiply times our EP cost. We're never going to go back to our AP cost because we've already used that. We've done with this stuff here. We're simply taking the number of units multiplied times our EP value per that unit and extending it across. So our raisins, for example, now we have 4 ounces times 0.273 gives us 1.092. That's a 0, right? And so on. We're going to calculate all those as we go down. Once we've calculated each one of these extensions, we're going to add all these up to get the total cost of our recipe. So in our slides here, our total cost for our recipe is the sum of all the individual ingredient costs. So the next slide I have here is the actual recipe completed. So we've taken that 2 cups, multiplied times our 105, our 4 ounces, times our 0.56, our 4 ounces of raisins, times our 0.273, our 16, times our 0.026, our 2 tablespoons, times our tablespoon, and we got our extended costs here. All right? So what does that mean? That means the amount of couscous in our recipe cost us $2.10. The amount of carrots in our recipe cost us 22 cents, rounded, right? So our total cost for our recipe is adding all these up. 210 plus 0.224 plus 1.092 plus 0.416 plus 0.18 gives us $4.01, right? Notice we didn't round in this column here, right? We left the decimal places. When we get down to this point down here, our total, now we can round. But if we want to get a portion cost, now we divide this by our number of portions in our recipe of 8 to give us 4.01 divided by 8 gives us about 50 cents per portion. Okay, so the entire recipe costs us $4, but the portion cost, or the individual serving, is going to cost us 50 cents. All right, that's the end of the extensions video. We're going to be moving on to Spice Factor next.